Hello and welcome to Old Mortgage Minutes with Kingsley Ogudere. Today we have a very special show for you.
Deceleration means the market is no longer moving as fast as it was. And I know we look at and go, prices are still up 3.5%, but does it look kind of like at some point this line might start flirting and making out with the orange line? Like it looks like at some point in a normal year, this line should go horizontal. Okay? And we're I think at least next month, it's going to do it. It will do it because what I'm seeing in current listings and current pendings. But at some point, I would just prepare for what if it did cross. So if your narrative is that real estate is awesome and prices never go down, it's just a great moment to sort of prepare for what would I say if we did have year-over-year appreciation. Okay? And what does this number represent? You're paying for today's service. Can't take away a few zeros. So the median price has dipped in the region since May about $45,000, okay, or 7%. In Sacramento County, the number is $40,000. Now, don't walk away here and say every neighborhood has gone down by 7%. That's not the message. But I think what sellers need to hear, we were just talking about this at this table, is that it's not that market where you look at April comps and say, minus $5,000. Because you might be looking at here your sales, what is actually getting in the contract right now. That's where the market is at. And if you need to, if it was $400,000 and what's getting in the contract is $355,000, you need to have a heart-to-heart with your seller that we are much further down. That's where a number like that can be powerful. Let's say that our median is down 7%. Okay? So it's not this fear thing, but it's like being a realistic thing. Now, buyers, on the other hand, I would probably be a little haphazard about sharing some stats with them because they're like, oh, great, I'm going to get it $45,000 below. So, be aware of that. But here's a different way to look at it. Okay, this bar chart is from 2004 to 2022. Okay, and these blue bars show the price change between May and August of each year. Okay, now this gets a little bit technical, but basically, you see how the bar this year is way down about 7%. Okay, and you see how in previous years it doesn't really look like the market has done that before, right? And so here's the thing. Here's what I want to say today. It's actually really abnormal for the market to peak in May. If you look at May here, look at June. The market normally peaks in June. Okay? And let me show you on this side that the market normally peaks in June each year, not May. And so when we're comparing May stacks, it's a really weird comparison. It's awkward because the market normally goes up between May and June. So let me show you what's normal. This is June to August each year. If we look at June to August, how does the market normally behave? You can see that prices are typically down before the pandemic anywhere from 1% to 3%. Well, look at the last year. In 2021, the market was super aggressive. The market was down 2.61% in a really, really aggressive year. And so it's very, very normal for prices to be dipping right now. Okay? In real estate, sometimes we're like, prices are always going up, it's always hot. And then it's like, no, that's not true. And so what we want to do is parse what's normal and what's not. And so we can see that, you see how this year it's down almost 5%? So we clearly outpaced previous years. But we also have, it's not only just 5%, it's that decline in May of an extra 2%. And so you see how we've basically seen prices go down about twice as much as normal. Okay? Is that kind of how it feels out there in the market? Where it's like, oh, it's not that market where there's this dip that's already recognizable. Okay, so I would say a good way to describe this market is more pronounced declines. Okay? Now some people look and they're like, we entered a new season and everything is falling apart, we're going to get destroyed. It's like Twitter, every time it does stats, people are like, but we're going down, and it's like, hey, hold your horses. Right now, we're living in the midst of change where that cocoon that will become a butterfly, or maybe will be still more, I don't know what's going to happen right now. But what we have to watch is that right now we're living in the midst of change, and the best way to describe the market is more pronounced seasonal. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not sugarcoating, I'm like, man, twice as much as normal, but this is how it goes. I'm gonna skip this, you can check this out later, these are too technical, I think we're gonna totally lose you if I go over that. But look at Placer County, what do you notice about Placer? If I wanted people to go wild online, then I could show them, and they go, oh my gosh, Rick, take it. Here's the asterisk. Placer County is having fewer sales happen. I might not be pulling monthly stats, but we keep seeing fewer sales happen because the stats get weird. But do we see how like the median price looks like it's just starting to kiss last year? And so that's why I say like, we just want to be ready. Like, how would you describe the market if we did start to cross over into year-over-year declines? Okay? The mortgage rates in the background have been a tornado, and sellers are just chilling, walking along. And here's a live look at sellers living in Paris. So I'll give anyone $20, any guys, if you wear this body suit for Halloween. But here's my favorite way to describe the market is with hot pockets. And has anybody eat hot pockets in college? I was kind of more of a top ramen guy, but hot pockets were all the rage, especially in high school. But I'd say the market is like a hot pocket taken out of the microwave too early. And what happens when we do that? There are some spots that are blazing hot, there's some spots that are lukewarm or cool, some spots that are cold, right? And that's exactly what the housing market feels like. Not every neighborhood is exactly the same. Okay, here's a visual. And I want to show here every dot above this line, 0% right here, all these dots are properties that sold above the list price last month. What do you notice about the dots below? Are there more? Yeah. So 75% of sales sold either at the list price or below. It's almost like the trend was totally flipped last year. It's a different market today. But sometimes when I share stats, people will be like, how can you say the temperature's changing? Because, man, I have this property, we went 10% above asking price, the market is so hot. And then I go, you know, that's right, but you're talking about a tree, and I'm talking about the entire forest. We want to keep our eye on both the trees and the forest. I had an appraiser who in April, I did a presentation, and afterwards, he was like, I don't know what you're talking about. You know, the market, every single deal I'm working on is, you know, getting offers above the list price. And it was like, kind of now, it's like, well, maybe you want to pay attention to the stats at the time, okay? And maybe he was appraising properties they were getting into contract because he's doing work for lenders, okay? So anyway, but 37% of pendings over the past 2 weeks have multiple offers. That's something that buyers need to see, right? Not everything is gold, okay? You can look in Sacramento County, the number is a bit higher at 39% of properties. Over last year it was like 60 to 70%, definitely a different market. In Placer County, 37% of properties have had multiple offers over the past 2 weeks. That's as fresh as you can get with data, okay? Now, how many properties last month sold below the list price? Hence, there's a black line, the number at the very top, just in case you need the answer. Does anyone know what that number was? 64%. Now, is that surprising that 64% of sales sold below the original list price? Does it feel like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with the market? Okay, there's a few lines on here. I put these graphs out every month, and if you like them, I'll keep doing them, but I think there's something really powerful. Okay, look at the red line. Does everyone see the red line here? The red line is what's normal. 4 years before the pandemic, that's the average. And you see in August, it was normal to see 52% of sales sell above, or excuse me, below the original list price. That's what should be happening. Now look at the orange line below, that was 2021. And if you know what was happening, the trend was cut in half. We were in this crazy market. The black line is 2022, and there's a sharp change, and all of a sudden we're up, and would you say we're above normal? Yeah, for a long time people were like, the market's normalizing, and it's funny. It is, but now we're above normal, okay? And part of that, I don't know if you noticed, there's been some overpriced properties on the market, and so part of that, the stats are going to get weird, okay? So above the list price, look at that 25% of properties sold above the list price last month, and so that's kind of a smaller number. Okay? Look at last year, that number was so much higher. Okay, but in a normal year, we should be seeing about 34% of deals closing above the list price. Does this visual make sense, guys? And I hope everyone can see it. I don't know. You're like, pass on. But what percentage of homes sell at exactly the list price? Does anyone know? 25. 25? Lower. Exactly. Before the pandemic, yes, 14%. Okay. Last month, 10%. So you talk with your seller and you say, hey seller, don't get stuck on the list price because most properties are closing at either higher or lower, and today is probably going to be lower. And so you literally say 10% of sales close at the list price. Exactly. I think that's a powerful stat. Is that helpful for this presentation? Okay, so what do you see here when you look at Sacramento, Placer, and El Dorado County? When you look at actives, pendings, and closed sales. You look at closed sales at the bottom. What do we see happening with pendings for days on market? They're taking longer to get into contract. And you see actives is taking much of the properties are sitting on the market. Okay, you see that dynamic in every county, but here's the takeaway. We are going to look at sales, and you're going to see a more aggressive trend in the sales, and in a softening market, you have to tell your seller, if we see the trend, what is actually getting into contract. Don't expect, this temperature that we see in sales because the temperature has probably changed, okay? Look at Sacramento County. My projection for September, 32 days on the market is what properties are going to take to sell. Now, look at last year, 15 days. And so some people are like, the market's collapsing, it's taking twice as long. But what do you see in other years in September in Sacramento County? How long should it be taking to sell? About 30 days or so. So we're a little bit above normal. Here's Placer County. What do you notice? It's taking, my projection is 37 days on average for September this year. 20 days more than last year. Okay? Last year was this honeymoon for sellers. We're out of that time. But what do we notice normally? It actually should be taking a little longer, probably. Okay, and so there's this adjustment in real estate where it's like, oh man, do I need to reduce the price or do I just need to keep it on the market a little longer because it's probably going to take 4 to 5 weeks on average. Okay, El Dorado County, very similar trend, 48 days, and so compared to it should be taking even a little longer. But here's the trend. In Sacramento County right now, you can see the black line shooting way up to where the normal trend was, and we're a little bit above it. It should take 32 days to sell this month. If we have a normal year for the rest of the year, by the end of the year, we'll be at 42 days. Okay? I think we're going to be above that just because of market conditions, but that's way different than at the end of the year last year when it was more like 20 days. Okay? So set expectations. Here's something to think about. The very last stat at the bottom, you can see 13.8% of pendings over the past 2 weeks, they got into contract the first weekend. Okay? So another way of saying that is about 86% of the market didn't get into contract the first weekend, right? So you can see that 30% of the market, the stat above there, got into contract in 10 days. Not everything is on the market for 100 days. But what I'm obsessed for in the neighborhood, what is it that's moving quickly? Is it price? Is it condition? Is it location? That property with the pool or accessory dwelling? Get to know what's moving fast. But look at the top two stats, 35 days on average and 23 days for the median. So basically, properties took anywhere from 3 to 5 weeks to get into contract as the average or the median. These are pendings, like stuff over the past 2 weeks, and we're out of that honeymoon market. Is that a powerful stat? Talk about sellers needing to adjust expectations. So they might get 1 or 2 offers if you're lucky, but man, we're going to need to take more time on the market. Okay, so buyers are in different places today. They will not wait that contingencies. Talk to me, But here's kind of a stunning stat. Last month, in August, properties on average sold 4.5% below their original price. And you can see it's like, in a normal year, you can unpack this later, property should be taken about, maybe 2% lower. And so it's been this dramatic drop, okay? Now some of that is because we've got such an overpriced market that properties are going to need to take 10 lower. Now here's a really sensational one. On average, properties sold almost $31,000 below their list price last month. Okay? Now this is what you don't want to show buyers because they're going to look at a property that's priced at $700,000, priced really, really competitively. They're like, well, it's $30,000 at least. Well, it's still another one. It's through 2008. It becomes this ridiculous Back to the Future game. Okay, but this stat will be kind of sensational in the coming time since we've been dealing with so much overpriced stuff. But what a different market from last year when properties on average sold 11,000 above. Totally insane number. Okay, so I'll skip some of this, but basically you can get multiple offers today, and you can see that, for instance, these are properties with multiple offers, and you can see that last year 14% sold below the list price, but then look at this year, about 54% sold above, below. And so just because you get multiple offers doesn't mean that you're going to go over asking. Is that a powerful stat? Okay, so you prepare your sellers to say, look, you might get multiple offers, but you know who's getting really used to paying below the list price statistically? Buyers. Okay? You might have 2 or 3 offers, man, that doesn't guarantee that you're going over like last year. It's a different ballgame. Okay, this is one of my favorite stats that I'm putting out right now because I think it's telling. And so in every listing presentation, hammer that in. Okay, you will offer above this price. Those Jedi mind tricks just aren't working today, right? Or, buy down the rate. Don't reduce the price. Do you remember hearing about this? Okay, is this working for anyone? Okay, I hear a few loan officers quoted, and they get angry with me on Instagram, and they DM me, about this, and I'm like, bro, this isn't working. Because buyers are in a place where they're like, I'd like a price reduction and a credit for closing costs, right? That's where they're at. And so prepare your sellers. Sellers feel like they're giving a value. They're not giving a value if value is never there, okay? If they're overpriced by $200,000, guess what? They need to come down significantly, and they might need to give a credit too. And so just an interesting market. But for 22 months in a row, we had inventory below 1 month. And does anyone know where inventory is at right now? The months of supply in the region. How many months? Okay. We were like pushing like we're going to be 2.5, and do you know what happened last month? It actually went down. Okay. So here's where we are. We're at 2.07 months. You can see this really, really sharp uptick, and that's sort of the thing that was up. Really sharp change, and then sort of a leveling off. So sharp change doesn't happen every month. And so we have about 2 months of supply right now. And you kind of look at 2 months, it almost looks like, right here, does this kind of look like a normal level when looking at, the past year, 10 years of sales? Because we hear often in real estate that 5 to 6 months is normal. Is that true? In some places it is. Is it true in Sacramento? No. El Dorado County can easily handle 3 to 4 months. That would be cataclysmic. For Sacramento County, the market would be really, really declining. Placer County can handle more than Sacramento, and so it's all across the board. Okay? Here's a great way to think about it, though. This image comes from John Burns Real Estate Consulting. And let's walk through it. You can see different colors here. And Sacramento, in front of the Sacramento place, there we go. And you can see this black dot. They said this was our black dot in actually May. We're like way over here. Okay, so they would say that there would be price appreciation in Sacramento, anything basically under 1.6 months, there's really healthy price appreciation. We've tested that, we know that it's true. But when you look, and they go between 1.6 and 3.1 months, kind of mixed results. Would you say that's true in some neighborhoods? Very mixed right now. But then you look in Sacramento, they would say anything 3.2 months and above, decline. I think they're generally right when you think about images like this, but check out this. Look at Orlando. Orlando would said to be declined at 6 months. Look at Charlotte. Charlotte can handle at least 12 months. We don't know how much because it's off the charts, literally. But do you see how different markets or different venues or wherever we're talking about And so right now, it actually feels like a very healthy portion of inventory, aging about 2 months. Could you imagine if we doubled inventory? Do we honestly think that the market would feel normal? Yeah. So the 5 to 6 months thing is fake news. But what's going on with listings? Because we have about 4,000 right now. We haven't had very many sellers coming to the market. So what is it, like why do we have 4,000 listings when we literally haven't had a lot of sellers coming to the market compared to last year when it was like just about 2,000? So what's the X factor? What is happening? Anyone? There's definitely thing on the market. Fuel index are the elephant in the room. They make all the difference. Okay, and so what we're seeing right now is that properties that aren't getting into contract have just been on the market for longer. Here's listings though, and this is from Redfin. Bookmark this link. I think it's powerful. You see the black line? That's 2022 of the week. These are new listings, and the orange line is 2021. Do you see how we're actually lower than last year at the same time? Okay, we are lower. We are not seeing many listings come to the market. But look at pendings. When I show you pendings, do you see what happened with pendings compared to last year? There was all this space where we're seeing fewer properties get into contract. That's why we're able to have 2,800 fewer sales right now. Okay, but do you see what's happening with the pendings line? Sharp change, and then what are we seeing? Kind of horizontal. And so the market's trying to find its rhythm, trying to find some balance. Okay, what happens with mortgage rates? Well, we'll see. That's to be determined. What is this number right here? That's 46.3%.
That's your mortgage rate.
It definitely feels like that. 46.3% of current pendings have had a price drop. Okay. About half the market has had a price drop. So this is a powerful stat. It shows that price reductions work. Okay. I won't bore you with this too much, but I was thinking price reductions aren't working. Basically under $10,000, properties were reduced by $10,000, and that worked 5% of the time. Okay, if the property isn't getting any action, it's probably not that you need to reduce the price from $780 to $771. Okay, and so it might be more substantial. So I put out a visual like this usually once a week. You can watch for it on my socials, but you can see sort of above. It starts to get better between 10 and 25,000, 25 to 50,000. Like it just depends. Okay, sometimes an agent will reduce the property, the price by 20,000, and instantly there's 2 offers. Sometimes it's like if something's overpriced by 600,000, guess what? It needs to come down. And so sometimes people latch on to I can't believe that property was reduced by $1 million. Like, what's the market doing? I'm like, well, it was overpriced by $1 million, right? Something to think about. You can check this out. Price reductions. We're basically seeing reductions much higher than previous years, but you can hardly see it right here at the very end. This is from Altos Research. Price reductions are starting to level. Okay? We've been flirting with about 50% for the past month. There has not been a lot of growth. What should happen right now this time of year, we might go up a little bit, kind of down, but it looks like we're starting to level, and hopefully that's what we'll see ahead. Could go up a little more. But all it takes is one buyer, thankfully, right? Yeah. Okay, I have a few more slides. You guys hanging in here still? Oh my gosh, we just need to get out this early. So don't focus on prices too much. That would be my strong advice. Okay, here's why. When the market began to change in 2005, the bubble burst, August 2005, that's when we started to notice prices changing over the course of 1 year. Do you know how much prices were down? 4 to 6%. Doesn't really sound like a bubble bursting, right? You're like, no big deal. Here's what was happening behind the scenes though. There was about a 40% drop in volume over the course of the year. And so we can kind of say like, look, the market's in a little bit of a gully, like it's been said, but behind the scenes, you see that, oh no, there's this big change happening with volume. Okay, where an inventory went from 2.6 months to 8 months, so 1 year, prices didn't change that much. And so my advice is, Don't focus on prices right now so much, but focus on what's happening with volume. Does that make sense? I feel like we are so obsessed. Like, the only thing we want to know about real estate is what are prices doing. I'm just more like, what's volume doing? Because that's what we care about. Volume represents escrows and paychecks, right? I'd rather have lower prices and more paychecks. I don't know about you. But I would say this. What is this number in California? Does anyone know someone who has moved to Tennessee? Or Idaho? Or Texas? Or Nevada? Or Florida? Like all the usual suspects, right? It's never like Rhode Island, right? It is how many people left the state last year. And so if you think about your business, who has incentive to buy and sell at a market like today? Who can still tap out of this market? You think about people with the California pension going a long way in a different state. Even if prices in Boise have been very frothy, it's kind of a lateral financial move, but it could be a lifestyle move. Okay? When you look, Sacramento's lost population, you can see this, but one of the things about look at Roseville, and you can see that Roseville has gained population last year by about 2,200 people. And so what I recommend is when population stats come out, I want you to look at those and just ask yourself, where are people moving? Who are the buyers? Who are the sellers? Because that's a clue for where to focus. Okay, Lincoln was also up. Colfax was, I don't know, there's Folsom was up slightly, Sacramento County, Rancho Cordova was up, some of that's new construction, but you think, where are the areas that are growing, okay? But unexpected things happen, that's the bottom line. And, I think none of us expected Pete and Ken. I think we all expected it for the news. I'm sorry to make light of them party ways, okay? But the reality is that when people ask me, what's the future going to do? What are prices going to do in real estate? I had someone ask me on Zoom a couple of weeks ago, and I said, what is Bitcoin going to be worth in 1 year from now? And the person was like, well, okay, I know, but seriously, what are prices going to do? And I said, well, are lawn games going to be popular next year? Are my teenagers going to want bullets? Like, there's all these big questions in life. And we got to see that we don't know the future yet. Like, you guys, we need to chalk that off. That's not going to happen. Okay? But the reality is that you look at, and this is my last visual, you look at 1975 onward. This is the Freddie Mac price index from Sacramento. What do we see happening over time? The prices, they go up, and then they go down. They go up and down, up and down, up and down. Okay, and do you see how in real estate, if you hold long term, you win? Okay, but here's the thing, just a couple things. You see this past peak right here, and this one, what do people think is going to happen? This total avalanche. And I just want to say that what happened last time isn't the new template, okay? In the 90s, prices dipped, and what could happen in 2002? People could have looked at this and gone, man, we're going to go down by 20%, maybe 30%, but then the market went up to 3 more years. History shows us that not every market correction is the same. Does anyone have multiple kids here? I've got 2 sons. Guess what? They have similar DNA. They are not the same. I'm actually the same. I don't know if you knew that. Me and my brother, we were in the world together, hanging out together, and we sound very similar. We were very, very opposite. Okay, and so market corrections are not always the same. Okay, but look for people who wants to exit if they feel the top is near. Sometimes people are like, I'm going to exit and I'm going to rent, and I say, how long are you going to rent for? When the market goes down, it typically goes down for 5 to 6 years. Not always this heavy decline, but it's an honest question. And so here's the question, guys, that I would ask your clients, get off of prices and start focusing on lifestyle. Where do you want to be in life? Okay? Where is your lifestyle mandating for you to be? What school district do you want your kids to be in? Okay? Where do you want to retire? Where do you want to live if it's not going to be California? Sometimes we get so fixated on prices and we're throwing away lifestyle. And right now is a market to start emphasizing lifestyle like we should have been doing the whole entire time. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's my advice to you. But I would say that Redfin's chief economist says that this is a market correction. I don't think that anyone's saying that it's this market crash, but I think that we need some time to understand, is that the way we should be describing it or not, okay? There's no shortage of people on YouTube who are like, it's getting frothy and we're going down, we're going to die. And I would just say, be careful of that stuff, okay? My last thing is to say, the reality, we're poised to see fewer sales ahead, okay, and as the market changes and as mortgage rates go higher, presumably. My advice, work harder than ever before, expect to see fewer deals on your desk. I'd say cut frivolous expenses, okay? Stop wasting money. Okay? Beef up your marketing and your service. Put money into your business. I'd say focus on the deals that are happening rather than the ones that aren't. How can you be a part of the deals that are occurring? Okay, that's the emphasis. That's the only thing to mastermind. And for closing advice, I'd say be patient. You need time to see the trend. Know what normal looks like so you can spot abnormal. That's what I'm doing every single month with all these stats. Identify who has incentive to buy, sell, rent, and invest today. That's the topic of dinner. You're like two people in real estate, husband, wife. Like, I'm not saying to talk about real estate at the dinner table, but man, if you were, I would be masterminding over this. Who are the players in today's market? I'd say cultivate a positive mindset no matter what the stats are doing. Okay? You've got to pay attention to the stats, but have that positive mindset. I'd say take your mental health seriously. Okay? A lot of people have been like, man, I was the best agent in the world, and I'm God's gift to the Sacramento region. And everyone feels awesome when the market's going like gangbusters when volume is up, and then all of a sudden the market changes, and it's like, oh, I think maybe my positive mindset then, and I had such a great mindset, maybe it was more of the market and like all these fat checks that come from my bank account. But now the market challenges you and I to say, will you really have joy and contentment in a market that doesn't have as many deals going on? Or is your joy and peace and contentment contingent on the checks that are coming to your bank account? Doesn't that challenge you? It challenges me. And what is my life really going to be about? That's probably the most important thing I'll say here today. Okay? Just a couple more things. I'd say extinguish a positive-only narrative. That's stale. It doesn't work. Hairbands went out of style a long time ago. It's time to move on, guys. Expect to work hard because some clients are going to back off the market. Hands down, it's going to be more difficult to get deals. Okay? Don't be afraid to change what you say about the market from week to week. It's like that game of ping pong. If you're just watching the stats and that's the dynamic thing, you get to change what we're going to say. Okay? And last but not least, I always end with this: be generous and authentic, because the world is starving for people who are real and starving for people who put other people's interests above their own. And what we're going to do in a market like today, for some buyers who are sitting on the fence, you're going to plant seeds that sprout and come to fruition in years to come. Okay? Or maybe months down the road, not right now as much. Okay? And so I'd say keep doing that. And there's too many crazy people who are fixated on politics, and there's too many people who are just gone completely off the rails, and don't be one of those psychos to find advice. So that's me. That's everything.
Thank you again, and have a great day. And this is Kingsley signing off with Old Mortgage Minutes.